Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into really quite an extraordinary journey.
Yeah, it's
Our sources are built around this in-depth interview we did with someone we're just calling G.
mm,
He's a doctor, and he's managed to navigate the world of medicine, across two very different continents.
right. China and the U.S.
Exactly. And our mission today is really to unpack G's path. I mean, from a small county town in China all the way to becoming a resident doctor right in New York City.
It's quite a leap.
It is. And we'll explore the intense training, the really stark differences he found in practicing medicine, and even his thoughts on the future of healthcare. It's kind of a shortcut, really, to understanding the grit, the strategy, the sheer dedication it takes.
Absolutely. And what's so fascinating, I think, is that G's story isn't just about hitting medical milestones. It's really a story about resilience, about adaptation. And the insights, well, they apply way beyond just medicine. We're looking at what truly drives someone through something that demanding.
Okay, so let's dive in. Let's start with the present. What's life actually like for G right now? Living, practicing medicine in New York.
Well, the first thing he mentioned, and it's a big one, is the contrast. Being a doctor in the U.S. versus China, he feels a much, much higher sense of accomplishment here.
Accomplishment. How so?
And greater societal respect.
Yeah.
He even mentioned things like celebrating National Doctors Day, with patients and nurses actually making a point of it. That was kind of new to him.
Interesting. And he made this distinction, didn't he, between like oral respect in China and what he called real money recognition in the U.S.
Yes, exactly. That's where it gets really tangible.
So what does that tell us about how these societies value doctors?
Well, it's quite stark. In the U.S., he points out attending physicians have some of the highest incomes. Doctors often populate the top 10 salary ranks nationwide.
Right.
And for G, even as a resident, seeing that potential, that financial recognition, it ties directly into a feeling of, well, self-fulfillment. It's a clear economic signal of value that he felt was maybe lacking in the system he came from.
Okay. And his specialty, radiation oncology. RAD-onc, he called it. Sounds very specific.
It is extremely specialized. He really highlighted how exclusive it is, mentioning only about, 100 new specialists enter the field each year in the entire U.S.
Wow. So what does a RAD-onc actually do day to day?
Yeah, he broke it down into two main parts. First, there's patient care, which is, the bulk of it, maybe 50, 60 hours a week.
Okay. Still a lot.
Oh, yeah. But then there's this other huge piece, clinical research. And that adds, he estimated, over 20 hours on top of the patient care.
Over 20 hours just on research. What kind of research? Is it like lab work or?
It's about pushing boundaries, really. Developing new treatment models, conducting clinical trials. He gave a great example. Proton therapy.
Proton therapy. I vaguely remember that from physics.
Kind of. It uses hydrogen atoms protons to basically bombard and shatter tumor cell DNA directly.
Wow.
Yeah, causing the cells to die. It's really cutting-edge science being applied right there with patients. He finds that part incredibly rewarding.
Okay, rewarding, sure. But let's talk about those hours again. Patient care plus research.
Yeah.
What's the total tally look like?
He figures his average week is somewhere between 70 and 80 hours.
70 to 80. That's huge.
And get this. He said in previous years, it could even hit 100 hours a week.
100? How is that even possible?
He described it as basically working 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week.
That's just unreal. Is that sustainable? Are there rules against that?
Well, yes and no. He did clarify there are regulations, at least in New York, like an average 80-hour weekly cap for residents. The idea is, to prevent fatigue, protect patients.
Right. Makes sense.
But he also admitted it's often really, really hard to actually stick to those limits in practice. The demands are just that high.
So with that kind of pressure cooker reality now, what does he think about the future? Especially with, the elephant in the room, artificial intelligence.
Right. He didn't shy away from that at all. He actually thinks some doctors, especially the ones focused mainly on interpreting images, like radiologists or pathologists.
The scan readers.
Yeah, exactly. He thinks they could potentially be replaced, maybe relatively quickly, by AI.
Even others.
He even mentioned general internal medicine doctors might see their roles change significantly down the line. AI is apparently already outscoring humans on some medical exams.
That's sobering. But he wasn't totally pessimistic, was he? Where does he see the human element persisting?
No, not entirely bleak. He strongly believes there will always be a need for what he calls medical scientists.
Medical scientists, meaning?
People who bring more ideas, more creativity, people driven to develop completely new treatment methods. It's that combination patient care plus a real scientist's mindset. That's the path he sees as both rewarding and maybe more future-proof.
Fascinating. Okay, so that's his present, his future outlook. Let's rewind the clock now, way back. Where did this whole journey begin? High school, right? In China.
Yeah, high school in a small county town in Hubei province. He was in what they called an experimental class.
Experimental. What did that mean?
High expectations. Intense competition. He described the schedule as almost, well, inhumane was his word. Sort of like that famous Heng Shui high school model, if you've heard of it.
I think I have. What was it like specifically?
Wake up at 6 a.m., morning reading at 6:20 a.m., studying basically nonstop until 10 p.m. at night.
Wow.
And he was a boarding student, so this was 6 full days of classes plus evening self-study. The only break was maybe Sunday afternoon or sometimes a full Sunday off.
That is just incredibly rigorous. How did he cope? Did he have any way to blow off steam?
He did. He actually talked really fondly about playing basketball. There was like a 2-hour break between afternoon classes and the evening self-study session.
Ah.
He was tall, apparently, and he said it was crucial for him and his friends just to, decompress. And yeah, he admitted, maybe catch the attention of some girls.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But he was quick to add no early romance, just, crushes.
Right. So he survived that intense environment. But medicine, was that always the plan? Was he one of those kids who always wanted to be a doctor?
Actually, no. Quite the opposite, it sounds like. Medicine wasn't his first love at all.
Really?
Yeah, he was really into life sciences, biology, especially since junior high. Even though, interestingly, chemistry was his best subject academically.
So biology was the passion.
Exactly. His original plan was to study biology at Wuhan University, which apparently has one of the best programs in China.
Okay, so what happened? Why this switch to medicine?
Well, this is a key turning point. His parents, he said, were generally supportive, but it was actually his mother's colleagues at the hospital she worked at.
Ah, practical advice from the front lines.
Pretty much. They gave him very pragmatic advice. Go for medicine, better job prospects, more financial stability compared to pure biology. He described it quite humorously as getting on the pirate ship.
A pirate ship. So a bit reluctant, maybe.
Sounds like it. Reluctant, but it obviously turned out to be a really impactful decision for him.
Okay, so he does the 5-year medical degree in China. Yeah. Then what? What was the next big step?
The next big decision was to study abroad. And he pointed out this was, and maybe still is, pretty unusual for medical students from China.
Why is that unusual?
Well, he suggested most either stay in China to practice, or sometimes they even leave medicine altogether for other professions. Part of it seemed to be about that perceived lack of respect or financial return for doctors there. He mentioned his own class monitor, the top student, ended up becoming a product manager.
Wow, that really says something. So what made Ji different? Why did he decide to go abroad? Was there a trigger?
There was a really key moment. He talks about this powerful mentor figure.
Oh, who was that?
It was his mother's senior colleague, actually, a successful doctor working in Shenzhen. And this colleague gave him some very direct advice. Go out and see the world.
Just like that?
Pretty much. He strongly encouraged Ji to pursue a medical-related research PhD overseas. The thinking was it would lead to better opportunities, maybe higher positions, even if he eventually returned to China. Ji called it profound life guidance. Like someone pointing you down the right path at a crucial fork in the road.
That's huge. So that advice led him to the U.S., but not directly into a U.S. medical program.
Right. It led him to apply for a translational medicine master's program in the U.S.
Translational medicine master's. Okay, what exactly is that, and why was it a stepping stone, as you called it?
Yeah, it's not the same as getting a USMD, which requires doing an undergraduate degree first here. This master's was more of a strategic bridge.
A bridge? How so?
Well, it served multiple purposes. First, it was a buffer. It gave him time to get used to the U.S. environment, improve his English, really improve it for patient communication.
Which is critical in medicine.
Absolutely. He stressed that medicine isn't just science, it's deeply humanistic. So understanding American society, culture, and nuances, that was vital. And, critically, this master's program gave him the time he needed to study for and pass the U.S. medical licensing exams.
Ah, the exams. That brings up a big question. Does the U.S. even accept foreign medical degrees, like the one Ji got in China?
Generally, yes. G confirmed that the U.S. does recognize first medical degrees from most countries.
Yeah, it's
However,
always a however.
exactly. The huge hurdle, what he called the most critical step, is passing those U.S. medical licensing exams, the USMLE steps.
Right.
It's only after passing those exams that a foreign degree is considered effectively equivalent to a U.S. medical school degree for the purpose of practicing. It's a massive barrier to entry for international grads.
Okay, so it's possible, but incredibly tough. G clearly navigated all of that.
Hmm.
Looking back at this whole massive journey,
Hmm.
if he could talk to his younger self, say back in that intense high school or university, what advice would he give?
He boiled it down to just two things, two core principles he felt were key.
Okay.
Always maintain curiosity and responsibility.
Curiosity and responsibility. Let's take curiosity first. What did he mean by that? How did that help him?
Well, he has this great line, only passion can persevere. But he argues passion isn't just something you have, it's something you cultivate, and curiosity is the seed.
I like that.
He remembered how even back in high school with those punishing schedules, he'd still obsess over why an answer was A and not B on a test. He'd have to meticulously figure out the difference.
So digging deeper than just the answer.
Exactly. And he thinks that applies everywhere to understanding people, projects, life. It's what keeps you engaged, keeps you learning, especially when things are incredibly difficult, like they were for him.
Makes sense. And the second principle, responsibility. How does that fit in?
He pointed out that curiosity, well, sometimes it can be a bit fleeting, you know. Responsibility is the anchor. It's the commitment.
The follow-through.
Precisely. It's that drive that says, okay, I chose this path, or I started this task, so I must do it well. Whether it's a sense of responsibility to your family, your team, your friends, or just the work itself. He feels both curiosity and responsibility were sort of subtly ingrained in him during those tough school years, and he'd tell his younger self just how vital they are.
Curiosity driving the passion, responsibility ensuring the follow-through. That's powerful. So G's whole story, from that incredibly tough high school environment in China, navigating the complex path to the U.S., becoming this specialized resident in New York, it really does highlight just immense dedication, doesn't it?
Right.
And smart strategic choices.
Absolutely. It's a field, medicine, that's clearly changing fast, but at its core, it remains so deeply human.
And G's experience really makes you think, doesn't it? About what it genuinely takes to thrive in these high-stakes, constantly evolving professions. I mean, how do you pursue that sense of self-fulfillment G talked about when you're facing those kinds of hours, that kind of pressure, and yeah, the shadow of AI?
It's a huge question. His journey offers one perspective, focused on that blend of scientific drive and human connection.
So for you listening, thinking about G's story, what really stood out? How do his ideas about nurturing curiosity, about shouldering responsibility, how might those resonate with your own goals, your own ambitions? Especially, you know, in this world we're in, full of constant change and endless information, what might your curiosity and your responsibility guide you to explore next?